the computer, so I'll only bring it if I need to refer to some acts.
I'm sure that if you see someone on my desk underneath that, I'm just sure I don't know. Oh, yeah, I'll just bring the journal. I'm sure my notes not.
All stand, call us down briefly.
Do you have copies of the legislative law that case law that I was relying on?
In your submission?
I'm not sure. Probably should have done.
I've found Miss Nelson, Mr. Sally. You need your other ones back?
No, sir.
All right, Miss Nelson.
Mr. Sally has taken out his application for a restraining order. If you go, would you like me to just go through my submissions?
Probably, as Mr. Sally's acting for himself, it's probably best if you do it reasonably fully, because I've read all the material, but it's probably best if you develop your argument so that he can follow it and respond to it if he wishes.
Yeah. Basically, when you go through the Harassment Act, you will look at the various, first of all, you go to the definitions of harassment. So on that, we start at section 3, which is the meaning of harassment. And that requires that specified act has been done on a couple of bases, on a couple of grounds, and it's done to a different person, and that the person believes that they may be harmed in some sort of way. So once you go from the meaning of harassment, under that, if the person feels that they're being harassed, they may apply for a restraining order on notice, and that's filed. And then the powers to make a restraining order are contained in section 16 of the Act, and that is subject to section 17, which is a full defence. And the applicant must prove that he has been harassed or has been harassed by the applicant. But when you go to section 17, sir, you will see that there is a full defence that if an act is done for lawful purposes, then that specified act cannot be relied on to establish harassment. In this instance, the Bank of New Zealand, or Mr. Lloyd, who works for VEROFI, which is contracted to the Bank of New Zealand to do recovery work, has been engaged by the Bank of New Zealand to follow up. Mr. Sarley has defaulted on his loan payments to the Bank of New Zealand. The Bank of New Zealand, following the process that's set out in the Property Law Act and in their contracts, which is a loan agreement between Mr. Sarley and his wife, and then the terms and conditions and the facility agreement, which are all attached to the affidavit of Barbara Tihara. And the loan that Mr. Sarley took out was secured by a mortgage over a property. And the Property Law Act 2007 contains, it basically codified, tells you what you can do if a person goes into default. If a person has defaulted on their loan and they've been issued demands and they haven't responded and they haven't met the arrears or met what has been agreed to, what's been asked for in the letter of demand, then the bank may issue a Property Law Act notice that requires a person to pay all arrears within a period of time. And once that has been issued to a person which is personally served, which has happened in Mr. Sarley's case, then the plaintiff, then the secured creditor.
The Property Law Act notice here was personally served on Mr. Sarley, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
There was a copy also next to the property. He complains in one of his affidavits that somebody taped something to the window of his property.
The Property Law Act was personally served on Mr. Sarley, and there's an affidavit by Samuel Southwell that's annexed that will show that it was personally served. Do you have a copy of that on the file, sir? And subsequently, so basically what I'm saying, sir, it's been done for all purposes. The bank and VEROFI, Mr. Lloyd, follow the process that's required. Under legislation. And therefore, the acts that Mr. Sarley is relying on have been done for all purposes. Another matter, sir, is that a lot of information has been filed by Mr. Sarley that has, on some occasions, been a little bit difficult to interpret. So I may not have covered everything that is contained in his information.
Thank you.
Any questions, sir?
No, thank you. All right, Mr. Sarley, what's your response to this?
Under the Harassment Act,
Stand up then.
so under the Harassment Act, it does speak of particular circumstances of the person being harassed. And I did, in my submission, put the particular circumstances. I was removed from my property on the 15th of April 2013, unlawfully served.
By who?
By a district court order, sir.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
Okay. So,
You need to focus your submissions, Mr.
well,
Sarley,
so just give me...
on what you say were the acts of harassment
Well, sir,
conducted against you by Mr. Lloyd.
well, sir,
Just let me finish, not in relation to the family court, not in relation to any actions of the police or any actions of
Sure.
district court staff or anything like that. You need to focus solely on what you say Mr. Lloyd did
Yep.
and why you say those are specified acts of harassment.
well, that's what I was trying to explain, the particular circumstances. I'll just be brief around that. So, when I was taken away from my home, the BNZ Bank then cut me off my account. I've got an email here if you'd like to see all the email correspondence. So I was shut from my account in 2013. Now,
And why do you say the bank can't do that if you owe them money?
well, they did do that, sir.
I know, but why do you say they cannot do that as a matter of law because you owe them money?
Well, sir, if I have an account with the bank that I'm supposed to be paying the money to, and there was no issues prior to these events, I've always paid my debts. I've never been in debt in my life, sir. And then when I was removed from my property, the bank didn't give me disclosure on what was happening to my property or what debts were outstanding. And the law does require continuous disclosure within 42 days at the longest, sir, under the Act. So I never.
Are you saying, Mr. Saleh, that Mr. Lloyd was responsible for that failure?
Well, Mr. Lloyd, as far as I understand it, is the corporate body. He's representing the corporate body.
No, he's not. You've sought a harassment order against him personally.
Well, yes, sir. So I was just trying to give you the
All right,
circumstances.
so are you making submissions to me, because I want to follow you, Mr. Saleh, your argument. Are you saying that Mr. Lloyd deliberately failed to provide you with the information?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And where is that evidence in
Well,
David's or anything?
Well, sir, here's just a recent one asking for disclosure. This writ was also served to the court asking for full disclosure on particular matters, sir. I haven't received any disclosure from the bank. I haven't even received my bank statements from the bank. That's to this very day, sir. So I didn't even know the property was in debt until the 19th of April, the 19th of January 2014, when the Judge de Ridder gave me my property back, sir. And there's also a vesting order made by the court for my property, sir, which I believe removes the mortgages from the property. Now, I have been in complete correspondence with Mr. Lloyd, and in particular, in regarding the what I call a cut and paste photocopy contract offered by Mr. Lloyd to harass me. I'm
sorry, you're saying because someone has cut and pasted a document and sent that to you, that is a act of harassment?
Well, no, sir. I'm saying this is the basis of Mr. Lloyd's jurisdiction, if you would like to say. He has harassed me because of this contract here. He says this is his legal standing to harass me. But, sir, if you look at the contract...
What has he done? What has Mr. Lloyd done in relation to you which brings his conduct within the meaning of harassment?
Well, sir, I think if somebody's trying to make me homeless unlawfully, that's harassment. Well, I think people are going to be turning up at my house at random or stalking me outside my house, sir. I find that harassment.
Have you ever met Mr. Lloyd?
Never, sir. Never, sir. And then also... Sir, can I please finish?
No, Mr. Saleh, just so that...
Sir, can I finish?
You tell me, Mr. Saleh, the specific occasions when you have spoken to Mr. Lloyd? That is over the telephone. Actually, like you and I are speaking now.
It's in my submission,
I
sir.
know, but I want you to tell me what those days are.
Oh, I'll have a look through my submission, sir. Let me see. And so, may I just say one thing? Please let me finish. Mr. Lloyd went to the point of stealing my sickness benefit from my personal bank account, leaving me broke, with no food and no means to live, sir. And then when it was pointed out to me...
How did Mr. Lloyd do that?
I don't know, sir. How did he get access to my bank account? I don't know, sir. I've asked these questions.
Surely the BNZ did that, not Mr. Lloyd.
Well, sir, Mr. Lloyd is a letter from...
Mr. Lloyd has been, as I understand it, instructed by the BNZ. He is a private contractor, as it were, to commence proceedings against you and your wife to sell the property to recover the money that is secured by mortgage over that property. That is his sole purpose.
Well, sir, he has
Unless, Mr. Nelson, I've got it wrong.
Sir, he has no contract with me, sir. He has no contract with me,
Doesn't
sir.
need to be.
No, he doesn't need a contract.
No.
So he can just use this cut and paste thing and just take anybody's property?
He's been instructed to go through the necessary steps under the Property Law Act to give you the various notices, which then gives the bank jurisdiction to sell.
Well, no, it doesn't, sir, because the Property Law Act says in Section 9, subsection 7, it says that this contract has to be witnessed by an independent witness. Now, this hasn't been witnessed at all. It's not dated.
I'm not going to listen to all of these irrelevant matters, Mr. Saleh. I have asked you already to be very focused in your submissions as to why you say Mr. Lloyd personally has harassed you.
Well, sir, in the harassment it says if Mr. Lloyd gets associates to harass me, that's
We'll get to that. Mr. Lloyd, we're dealing with.
Well, it's Mr. Lloyd getting the associates, sir.
What has Mr. Lloyd done?
Okay. He's instructed people to come to my home.
When?
Give you the date, sir. Give me a second.
Is that on the 23rd of February 2015, Mr. Sutherland attended, serve a Property Law Act notice.
Okay, so it says under harassment, applying legal pressure to collect a bill is harassment.
I'm asking you
Okay.
what day you say Mr. Lloyd
Oh, 20
instructed someone to come to your property.
Okay, November 2014, Mr. Lloyd starts making phone calls to me.
No. Listen, if you don't understand what I'm telling you or asking you, Mr. Saleh, please just let me know. You made the submission to me that he had instructed people to come to your home.
Yes.
I asked you, what occasions did people come to your home that were instructed by Mr. Lloyd to do so? What are the dates?
11th of February,
You were home at 11th February, which day? Which year?
2015.
Were you home?
Yes, sir. That's when they served the property notice.
Right. And that's Mr. Sutherland did that, did he?
I'm not sure, sir. They don't identify themselves when they come. The only names I know is what's on the affidavits filed to the
What
court.
other dates did people come to serve documents or come to your home that you say Mr. Lloyd sent?
23rd of February.
What was that to do?
That was to serve some other papers, sir. That's when they blocked off my neighbour's driveway and went to see a Lorraine King looking for me. And then they came to my house and they blocked off my driveway. One person remained in the ute and the other person came to my home to serve me papers, sir.
And were you served?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. Was any other dates?
There was no legal standing for that. Yes, sir, just prior 31st of March, served papers. Uh, 23rd of April, they come to my home again. I wasn't home that time, sir. And when I got home, my property was unlocked. Particular recordings, I have my house digitally recorded, were missing, with some other papers as well, sir.
And what was left on that occasion, anything?
Yes, sir, it was the submission. It's a little bit messy, sir, because it got wet, stuck to the window. It was a submission from the lawyers, sir, that was stuck to the window.
In relation to this case?
Yes, sir.
Is that the property that you gave as your address for service of documents?
Yes, sir.
Well, how else are they going to get the documents to you unless they come onto your property?
Well, they can post it, sir, but I would say they have no legal standing to come onto my property.
You gave
sir.
an address for service as your address, your private address.
Yeah.
So they must serve you at that address. If
Well,
you want some other address for service, then you've got to nominate that.
Well, sir, there's no legal standing for these people to be coming to my home.
Well, how are they going to serve you with the papers in relation to these proceedings where you have nominated your private home as your address for service?
Well, they can email it to me, sir. They could.
No, they've got to follow the rules. They've got to follow the district court rules. They can't just pick and choose as to how they're going to serve you with these documents.
Well, sir, to serve me the documents.
Anyway, that's after the 23rd of April 2015, after you filed your application for under the Harassment Act, isn't it?
Yes, sir. You think they would have stayed away from my home?
No, they wouldn't. How else are they going to get the documents to you?
Well, sir, they've got no legal standing, sir. This contract is fraudulent, and the Property Law Act says for
I'm sorry, what contract are you talking about now?
Sir, this is the contract Mr. Lloyd is using to harass me.
I can't read that from here.
Well, you've got a copy, sir, in your submissions from these guys. It's in their submissions, sir.
Well, what is it? What's on the top of it?
It says Liberal Revised Special Rate Housing Loan, then it says it's a facility. We offer a term housing loan facility. Now, obviously...
You're going off course again.
Well, no, sir, but the document is not legally binding, sir. It has no...
You say that Mr. Lloyd instructed people on 3 occasions, because I dealt with it on the 23rd of April, he would have had in service submissions. Twice people came onto your property to serve papers.
On 3 occasions, sir.
11th of February, 23rd of February and the 31st of March.
Yeah.
And they were all papers served on you under the Property Law Act.
Well, apparently so, sir, but this says you can't serve those papers If there's been no disclosure, then the thing must be put on hold until the matters are resolved. That's what the law says, sir. They must not make any
What else has Mr Lloyd done, do you say?
Well, apart from scaring me, sir, I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to turn up at my house, whether people are going to turn up at my house.
You don't even know him. He lives in Wellington.
Why
How do
no,
you
sir?
say he is harassing you by possibly turning up at your house and rolling?
Well, sir, because he has no legal standing to harass me, sir.
Right. Mr Saleh, you have to...
He has no contract with me, sir.
He doesn't have to have a contract with you. You have to point to acts of harassment, specified acts. Now, you were saying to me that on 3 occasions he instructed people to come and serve documents at your house.
Yes, sir.
I am now asking you, what other acts of harassment are you relying upon so far as Mr Lloyd is concerned?
Well, apart from all the letters threatening legal action against me, sir, which I think is very fearful of being made homeless unlawfully, Mr Lloyd or his associates or his corporate body took my sickness benefit, sir, and left me with no money, sir. And it's really hard to defend yourself when you have no money and no means to have a photocopy, sir. And this has been the case now for 2.5 years, sir. Now, when I pulled up the contract for Mr Lloyd's legal standing to be doing this to me, sir, we find the contract is null and void, sir. And the law says it has to be witnessed by an independent witness, sir. I can show you this document isn't dated.
I'm not concerned about that at all. I'm not concerned about what you say as the bank's standing to come and onto your property, or the bank's standing to sue you, or the bank's standing to sell your property. What I am concerned about here, and what I must focus on, is what you say Mr Lloyd personally has done to you. And so far you've said he has sent people to my home on 3 occasions, he has written letters to me, and he has taken my sickness benefit.
Yes, sir.
That's it?
And I'm living in fear every day. I don't know if he's going to turn up.
Fear of who?
Mr Lloyd. How can I not be in fear of this man sending more people to my home or taking some unlawful legal action against me when I've been asking non-stop for this fraudulent document to be discussed?
Do you owe the money?
Sorry?
Do you owe the money to the BNZ?
Well, that's what we're trying to discuss, sir.
Do you owe the money to the BNZ?
I'm not sure, sir.
Have you paid it back?
Well, I'm trying to establish who actually has the contract I'm supposed to pay back.
You drew down the loan.
No, there was no
You
loan,
and
sir.
your wife were still together for some
No, sir.
$2,000, didn't you?
No, sir, there was no loan at all, sir.
You got no money from the BNZ.
There's never been a loan, sir. If you read...
Did you get any money from the BNZ, which
No.
was then secured over your property by way of a mortgage?
No, sir.
You never received any money at all?
No, sir. It was a credit note created by the BNZ Bank, sir. They say that in their email there, sir, that I gave you. They said they created a credit note. They sold the credit note, and then they used that as a security over my home.
So who got the money?
Sorry?
Who got the money?
Well, that's what I'm trying to establish, sir. I don't think any money changed hands at all. It says it's a facility, sir. Facility is a money-changing document. And I can tell you how this works, sir, and I said it's a matter for a high court. What the bank did...
No, I'm not interested in that.
Okay. Well, sir, there's no legal document for Mr Lloyd to be harassing me, sir. And I've asked Mr Lloyd to produce a legal document, and he has not, sir. So he has no reason to interfere with my life whatsoever without that document. And, sir, it says in the Act, if they haven't provided continuous disclosure,
What Act?
the bank must not do these things.
What Act?
It's the... Contracts and Consumer Finance Act, sir.
Contracts.
And it's in my submission, so I went through all the Act where they says they have to produce disclosure. If they don't produce disclosure, sir, they must not take any action until the matters have been remedied. Well, they're taking action and it hasn't been remedied, sir. We can't even get a contract off the bank, sir. We can't get a contract off Mr Lloyd, sir. And this contract he's provided is illegal, sir. It has no witness on it, sir. It's not dated, sir. It's signed on the wrong line, sir. It's not signed by the bank, sir. And
Look.
So he has no legal basis to be harassing me, sir.
Well, you've given me what you say the harassment is, and that is that.
Well, sir, if a person has no legal standing to be serving notices and trying to take my property and sending people to my house, they have no legal standing for that, then it is harassment. If I did that to anybody in this courtroom, it would be considered harassment. If I have no legal standing or contract with that person to be doing that thing, that particular thing. So living in fear of having your home taken every day for almost 2.5 years, sir, is very, very stressful. I've lost weight. I've been sick. I've been on a sickness benefit, sir. Mr. Lloyd has no contract with me, sir. And if you can produce a contract in this court, there's a writ here for disclosure to say, Mr. Lloyd, can you please produce your contract? In which case we can resolve these matters and we can all move on. In Mr. Lloyd's submission himself, he says a restraining order will not... This is what it says. I'll just read it to you, sir. Third submission. An application for a restraining order will not protect Mr. Saleh from further harassment. So he's agreed that he's harassing me and he's going to continue to harass me. And that's why I'm in the court, sir. I'm trying to get a restraining order so I can just stop him for a minute and I can actually have these matters addressed properly. But he's going to continue to harass me if I don't get a restraining order. It says so on his own submission, sir. That's his own words, sir. He says, black and white. Yes, sir, he says.
Nelson is the bank wants its money back. It wants to sell the secured property to get it.
That would be the bank's position, sir.
Yeah.
Well, sir, can the bank produce a contract to that effect, then, sir?
What contract?
The contract to take my house. They're trying to tell me that this is the contract I signed. Well, this isn't a housing loan contract, sir, and it does definitely say it was a housing loan, and this contract is unlawful, sir. So
you can argue that in some other form.
Well, sir, if it's unlawful, then he has no grounds for harassment, sir. And he's admitted harassment in his own submission. He said he's going to continue to harass, sir.
Right, anything else you want to raise with things to sell?
Well, sir, I would like to have questioned Mr. Lloyd, but unfortunately he hasn't turned up, sir.
Doesn't have to.
Well, sir, it was in the last, when we were on the phone conference, Mr. Lloyd had to turn up. You said that yourself, sir.
That's only if it was going to be a substantive hearing. It's not a substantive hearing. The respondent has moved to have your application struck out on the basis there is no grounds disclosed in your application or in your affidavits or in your submissions which would warrant this court proceeding any further.
Well, sir, if there's no contract for him to
I
arrest...
don't know why you keep saying that.
Well, so anyone could arrest anyone then on that basis. Surely, for Mr. Lloyd to even get involved in my life, he has to have some legal intervention into my life. If he's produced a contract which is fraudulent, and that's the basis for his harassment, sir, and we can see it quite clearly is, then you can't cover him, sir. He's using this to harass me, sir. You can't cover him, sir. There's no legal documents or legal jurisdiction for him to be harassing me or trying to foreclose my house, sir. He hasn't got a contract with me, sir. And the contract he has produced is clearly fraudulent. And when the bank are asked to produce the original contract, sir, they cannot produce it because it doesn't exist, sir. I want to see the lending of money, sir. I want to see the accounts. I've requested all this stuff in disclosure. And if these things can't be produced, then Mr. Lloyd should stop his harassment until we can resolve these matters with the BNZ Bank. I would have thought, not Mr. Lloyd, but Mr. Lloyd wrote me a letter saying he is in charge of this thing. He's taken over the account. I don't know Mr. Lloyd, sir. I have no contract with Mr. Lloyd, sir. He has no grounds to be harassing me, sir. And I've been trying to remedy this fraudulent contract now for some time. And I've been trying to avoid the court, sir, but I can't because he's trying to do a fast track around the back of me, foreclose my house in the case of what are you going to do about it, mate, is kind of the situation I'm in. Well, I'm here today, sir, because I'm trying to just stop Mr. Lloyd for a second, put him on hold, stop all these lawyers harassing me, so we can actually address...
Lawyers harassing you?
Well, if I'm receiving lawyers led to take legal action, it actually says taking legal action when you've got no basis is actually another form of harassment. It says that on the harassment thing. If there's no basis to arrest me, please, I just ask for a temporary restraining order, just to restrain Mr. Lloyd for a second, so I can deal with these matters legally and lawfully, sir. That's all I asked. I don't know any other process. There isn't any other process to stop a debt collector from harassing you without legal jurisdiction, sir. I don't know of any other process, sir. I'm a layperson. I'm just trying to protect my property and my civil rights, sir. Now, sir, the other matter is the BNZ Bank were settled on this account with a promissory note on the 19th of January 2013.
Yeah, I read that with some interest. You wrote out a note saying you owe me $367,000.
No, what I did, I wrote a promissory note on the terms of bills of exchange, section 84 to 90, which is my civil right to do that, sir. And it's completely in.
And you promised to pay,
and
then
I
you
promised
asked the bank to transfer the difference between what you owe on the mortgage and your promissory note into your account.
Well, sir.
That's an interest. Can anyone write one of these promissory notes?
Well, apparently so, sir. This is what this is.
And the bank will just...
Well, sir, the BNZ Bank said they'll foreclose, so I failed to
Is there
understand.
any limit, Mr. Soler, is the amount that you can make a promissory note for?
I think it says in the bills of exchange that it's done with good intention, sir. So what I did...
So I could write one out for $10 million, go down to my bank, hand it in, and say, now transfer that $10 million into my account.
If you promise to pay it, sir. It's a bill of exchange, sir. And your signature...
Are you seriously making that submission to me?
Well, sir, I read the bills of exchange.
That is absolute nonsense, Mr. Soler.
Well, sir, what part of the...
Absolute nonsense.
So what part of the promissory note is nonsense, sir?
That a bank is obliged on anybody wandering in off the street with a promissory note written out on a piece of cardboard or whatever,
No, it wasn't written on a piece of
and saying, now transfer this money because I've given you a promise to pay it into my account so I can spend it.
Well, sir, I sent you a copy of the cheque that I did make a promise to pay. The payment was waiting there for the bank.
But I'm not even going to entertain that submission.
Well, sir, promissory notes are legal in terms of bills of exchange. Section 84 to 90 is completely legal. I followed that process, sir, and that's my civil right to use the legislation.
Yeah, but you're going further and demanding that the bank accept it. Why does the bank have to accept your
Well, sir,
promise?
under bills of exchange, delivery is acceptance, sir. It was sent. It's like if I gave you.
Look, I'm not
If I give you $20.
Move on from that. I'm not going to listen to
Well,
that
sir, that's the law,
argument
sir.
anymore.
Well, sir, that's the law, sir.
Right, you got anything else to say?
Well, sir, no, I just feel it's probably. I don't feel very comfortable here, sir.
Why is that?
Well, because I'm being harassed under a fraudulent contract, and also the ministry have a mortgage over my house as well. I just feel it's conflict of interest,
Ministry
sir.
too.
Ministry of Justice, sir. They got $65,000 mortgage on my home too, sir.
Is that a caveat put on your property to cover legal aid?
I represented myself, sir, so I don't see how I could have a legal aid
Maybe your
bill.
wife got, your estranged wife got...
Maybe she
legal
did.
aid
Maybe
and
she did, sir. Well, that's the other thing. The mortgage is in two people's name. My wife run it into debt with a contract with the bank because it's all signed with the bank that I get kicked out of my account, she gets my house. Then she does a runner. When I get my property back, I find it's in debt, sir. I find it's in debt, so that wasn't my responsibility. The court kicked me out of my house. My wife got the occupation orders or whatever. The mortgage wasn't paid. The rates wasn't paid. I've been trashed for the last 2.5 years, but I'm not going to bring that into the court today. I've been trashed, made unemployed, all sorts of horrible things, made sick, been on sickness benefit, and I get my home back after 2 years of fighting in the court, sir. I get my home back with a vesting order removing these mortgages, and then I find I'm being harassed over an illegal document, sir. Judge DeRidder, sir. No, sorry, Judge Murphy, sir.
Judge?
Murphy. On the 15th of April 2015, he made a vesting order vesting the property to me, sir. And my understanding of a vesting order, and I've got it here in vesting orders, it says all mortgages and liens are taken off the house without a conveyancing, sir.
You
So
too much time on the internet, Mr. Soler.
well, no, well, sir, I've just got it off the Justice Department's website. That's where my stuff comes from. So I do have a vesting order.
Bottom line is that the bank advanced this money to you and your wife.
Sir, there was no money lent, sir.
Liable for it.
There was...
You haven't paid it. They are now moving to sell your property,
sir,
to recover the money.
Sir, no money was lent, sir, and the bank cannot produce anything to say any money was lent, sir. It's a credit note. The bank say it was a credit note, sir. That isn't the lending of money. Credit is between one bank and another.
That's all I know. Anything else? Any other acts that you can point to so far as Mr. Lloyd is concerned?
Yes, sir. I point to the Property Law Act, sir, and the Property Law Act says this contract Mr. Lloyd is using is unlawful. It has no witness signature. It says the witness signature has to be witnessed by an independent person. It has to have their occupation and their date, sir. And I'll show you the contract there, sir. That is not the case with this contract. Mr. Lloyd has no legal basis to harass me, sir. It's harassment. He says it's harassment, and he said he's going to continue harassment if you don't give me a temporary restraining order to deal with these matters lawfully, sir. I'm just trying to protect my rights, sir. I'm trying to protect my property, sir. I've never been in debt in my life, sir.
What are the BNZ attempting to do? They're attempting to protect their rights. They're attempting to recover money that they lent to you
sir,
and your wife by selling your property.
Sir, the BNZ have no equity in my property, sir.
All right, I'm not going to engage any further. You can't point to anything else so far as Mr. Lloyd is concerned?
Well, no, sir. There's no contract to allow Mr. Lloyd to harass me, sir. And if you'd like to look at the contract, sir, could you pass that to the judge, please? Could you just pass that to the judge, please?
Show it to my registrar, please.
So I doubt that you can find that's a legally binding contract, sir.
attached to?
It's attached to the affidavit of Barbara T. Harassing.
So and I refer you to section 9, subsection 7 of the Property Law Act, sir, and please look at that contract. You see, it's not lawful.
It's Annex A1, sir.
Thank you. Back to Mr. Fusillo.
Section 9, subsection 7, sir.
All right. Any further submissions, Mr. Fusillo?
No, sir. I please just ask that you give me a restraining order, sir.
Well, this is an application by the respondent to strike out your proceedings. It's not. I'm not deciding whether you should get a harassment order or anything like that. I decide today whether there is valid grounds for striking out your application. That's what I'm dealing with today. All right. Thank you. Mr. Lloyd, anything? Or Ms. Nelson, anything in reply?
Just a couple of things there. Mr. Lloyd has only ever made one phone call to Mr. Sally. That's in his affidavit. He's been sued 3 times. First time sued was with the Property Law Act notice. The second time was with the respondent's application to strike out and statement of defence, and the third time sued was with the respondent's submissions. The default occurred.
So it's only the what day did Mr. I noted that Mr.
There was a service on the
23rd of February by Mr. Sol.
Yep, yes, sir, and that was for the Property Law Act notice.
So what's this 11th of February that Mr. Soleil is talking about? I haven't picked that up in any of the...
Sir, I'm not aware of any other time. The Bank of New Zealand instructed Mr. Southall to serve the Property Law Act notice on or about the 20th of February, sir. Perhaps Mr. Sally received a default letter on that day.
On the 11th, the default letter, but the service, was, according to Mr. Soleil, was made by him on the 23rd of February.
So the initial default occurred in September last year. Not prior to that. We had no knowledge of a sickness benefit, but I can only imagine, sir, that if there was a payment that needed to be made, it would have been perhaps credited from that account. Mr. Lloyd's ability to act on behalf of the bank is contained in the bank's standard terms and conditions, and that is annexed to the affidavit of Mr. Hara, Annex A3. And it's section 11 at 11.6, managing and administering our relationship and purposes for collecting. And it sets out there that the bank can get a collection agency or a credit agency can pass on to the
The strikeout rules are the same as in the district court rules.
Yes,
There has to be no chance of success. Pretty high bar that you've got to reach.
I'd like to make one other point, sir. It's not the Credit Consumer Finance Act, it's the Property Law Act that this is case relates to. And it's a statutory land charge on the certificate of title.
For the bank.
It's attached to Annex J1 of Mr. Lloyd's affidavit, and there is a certificate of title on that.
It's not signed.
So, it's well to that, sir. It is statutory land charge against the interest share, Mr. Sally, pursuant to Section 36 of the Legal Aid Services Act 2013.
That's for the legal aid.
Yes, sir.
But yours is a mortgage, isn't it?
Ours is a mortgage, sir.
Just a standard, bulk standard residential mortgage.
Yes, sir. And it was a very straightforward loan.
So
Yeah.
so may I comment on that mortgage document? If you see the
No.
they're not signed.
I'm replying to you.
Sorry,
Sally.
they're not signed.
We have a particular way of doing things in the
Sorry.
court.
I would suggest, sir, that the security property was paid for by the loan. Because that was what secured the loan to the plaintiff. And there are outstanding.
Presumably, Mr. Saleh and his now estranged wife went through a firm of solicitors to deal with the issues of the home. It's my understanding that one can't even, I'm sure one normally gets legal advice before you go into a mortgage.
I do see it, and that will also be in the letter of advice, which is Annex A1.
Oh, one?
It's stamped on the back, Rosa O'Brien.
Where's that?
It's actually going to be New Zealand, sir. Section, the very final clause of the letter of advice said 13.4.2 says that they should seek legal advice. The property would have needed to have been transferred by a lawyer, so through the legal line. As far as Mr. Saleh mentioning that in Mr. Lloyd's affidavit it says that the submissions will not protect them from further harassment, and that we refer to the judgment of His Honour Justice Toogood with Peter Collection House, where he makes that comment himself, that because the acts have been done for lawful purposes, the acts will continue. And that's what is meant by it will not protect them from further harassment in that context.
Anything else, business?
So, unless you have any questions.
Thank you.
So may I respond to that?
No. Ms. Nelson makes submissions, you make submissions, she makes submissions and reply to your submissions, and that's the end.
Well, sir, the documents...
No, you cannot now make any further submissions. Last week, I have other work today, Ms. Nelson, Mr. Saleh, so I just wondering whether I can do an oral decision today, but it would mean you have to remain here, Ms. Nelson, for some time.
How long sometimes?
Probably till, well, no, I'll reserve it, I'll do it later. You'll get it within a week. Right. Mr. Saleh, I only want to hear from you on this. Is your address for service the same?
Yes, sir.
Because the document will be sent to you by the court to that address.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. you, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Saleh. I'll reserve my decision on this.
Thank you, Sarah, for this.
All right, Renee, Ms. Moore, have you dealt with that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis?
Questions, yeah? George Davis, number 2 Gordon.
Ms. Moore, have you had a chance to speak to Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir.